So I'm going to do an update on my miscarriage situation because the last time we spoke I started bleeding, but that was about it. I thought that was probably as bad as it was going to get, a bit heavier maybe, but that was it. That's not it. So I'm updating. I don't really massively want to talk about this, but I was scared. I was terrified even. So I think it's probably a good thing to share what happened because I think it's fairly a normal experience, but people don't know about it, and that's worrying. So this is my experience with it. So I had started to get quite bad cramps and pains earlier in the day. My husband had stayed home because I was worried about what might happen and not feeling very good. I just wasn't feeling very well the night before. I felt a bit lightheaded. And things like that. So I just wasn't feeling great. So he stayed off. He took my daughter to school, and then we went and ran around some errands. And the pains were getting worse as the time went on, and my husband was having to support me quite a lot. And then I fell asleep at about, I don't know, 1 or 2 o'clock probably. And my husband went to get my daughter. And he was running a bit late, and he woke me up to say, "Can I call the school to tell them?" And that was about 3:30, and then I just felt I kind of had to squeeze something somewhere, and I felt something go, and I was like, "What on earth is that?" So I ran to the toilet, and this huge clot, like this big, fell onto the floor. And I thought at first it was a gestational sac because it was so big, but I've learned since that it's not. It was enormous. And then it was followed by a lot of blood. I'd had 2 towels in anyway because I worry about when I move around in sleep that, things will leak, but both of them were solidly filled. I had to get rid of those. And then I put another one in, and then I had, for the next 2.5, 3 hours, the most enormous clots just passing out of me. And the most amazing amount of blood just pouring out of me, basically. And the clots were terrifying. I was filling a pad within 5-10 minutes, if that. I was lying down a lot of the time as well, so I wasn't even withstanding. And I could feel these clots passing, and it was the most disgusting feeling. I know this is a lot of information, but I feel like people need to know. And it went on and on and on and on. I didn't feel like I could leave the bathroom. It was just horrific. And then it started to slow down a bit, and I wasn't getting as many clots. And now I'm just bleeding. I'm still in pain, so I'm not going to post this until I 100% know that this is finished, so that I can update it. But right now, yeah, it was traumatic. It really was traumatizing, and it scared me about getting pregnant again and having to go through this again if I miscarry again. I'm scared about dealing with the first trimester anyway because it's difficult for me, and I already had to go through part of it, and and now it's over, and that's really rubbish. To know that I've got to do it again and it's going to be worse. But now I'm also scared because of this happening again, because it was really awful, and I have a newfound, I think, love and care for those that have gone through this before me, because oh my goodness, it's awful. So I'm sorry if you're going to have to go through this. I don't think it happens like this for everybody. I think for some people it's not very much. Some people it's like this, some people it's worse. It depends on how far along that you are, and it depends on, I don't know, just who you are, I guess. But this is how it happened for me. I wasn't expecting that. I wasn't expecting it to be that traumatic. I wasn't expecting it to be that big and that much blood. And just the clots freaked me out. Yeah, not so good. So, just so you know, expect that. It's not too much to worry about. I'm okay. I'm a bit tired. Well, a lot tired. I'm feeling quite weak. I'm very thirsty. I'm drinking a lot at the minute. My body needs to rest, and I think that's important as well. Make sure you take the time to rest after you've gone through a miscarriage, because your body needs to recover. It's gone through an ordeal. Don't be shy about that. Don't Don't go back to work. The doctors recommend that you take at least a week off work if you're working. My friend's taken my daughter today because I'm not able to do anything with her really. I'm still cramping, I'm still in pain. I'm still bleeding, obviously, just not as badly as last night. That was the other thing. The blood, it wasn't what I was expecting. It's not like period blood. It's like blood. It's just quite thin and it just pours. It's just there. So yeah, I'm sorry if this scares anybody or if this is too much information. Please don't watch if it does. But if you need to know what's going to happen, that's quite possibly what's going to happen for you. It passes. It stops. It isn't nice. But it's normal if that's happening to you. So, yes, sorry.
So I had to go for another scan to check that everything was gone. And that was, I properly miscarried on the Friday, and I had the scan on a Wednesday. I bled the whole way through, but like the bleeding was getting really light. At one point I felt like something was stuck or something, but it wasn't. I went and got checked out, everything was fine. But yeah, just lots of pain still. I woke up one night just in agony and I couldn't sleep and I had to take really strong painkillers and things like that. But went for the scan on the Wednesday and they said there was still quite a lot to pass and that the gestational sac was still in there. And I was to expect that to come out. That scared me because I thought there was going to be loads more, like the same as I had on Friday. That hasn't and didn't happen. I have passed the gestational sac now. Probably about 3 days later I passed the gestational sac and the bleeding has now stopped. So it stopped about 3 days ago. It is, what day is it today? It's Tuesday. So it probably stopped last Saturday. Yeah, last Saturday. So it took me about a week and a half of bleeding to get rid of it. It's all gone now. Everything's finished, I hope. I'm taking some pregnancy tests, and I'm still getting tiny line. I'll see if I can show you. Okay, focus. Yeah, you can't see. It's not going to focus, I don't think, because it's focusing on these things are hard enough. But and you probably can't see anything there at all. But there is a small line. Very faint. I'm waiting for that to go completely. That should happen soon. They did say if I still had a positive test 2 weeks afterwards, then I should go back in, but I don't think I will because that's another week and a bit. Yeah, so after the scan, I mean, not the actual miscarriage. Things are better, the pain's gone, everything seems to be over now. I'm feeling more positive about trying again. I think that because I've had so much notice of this miscarriage, I had over 3 weeks before I actually miscarried, knowing that was probably going to happen. I've emotionally been able to come to terms with it sooner. And so I'm okay to try again. I know that there's a lot of advice about trying again, and some people say wait 1 month cycle at least. Well, maybe people say wait 3. Some people say wait 6. I personally believe that if God wants me to have another baby, I'll have another baby. When my body's ready, I'll get pregnant. I also know that there's an awful lot of people that get pregnant immediately after the miscarriage and go on to carry perfectly healthy babies. And so I don't really see the point in preventing. So we'll just go about our normal day-to-day lives and see what happens. I have started taking my temperature again because I temped to see when I ovulated. And I've started doing that again purely to know when I do ovulate, when to expect another period, my period again and things like that. So I've started doing that. But there you go. That's a miscarriage for you. Yay! I pray that no one has to go through it. It's pretty rubbish. I really hope I don't have to do it again. Really, really, really. I'm still nervous about the first trimester again, but, this is what you do to have a baby. So there we go. That's the end of that saga. I hope for good.